These two companies have come up with a great idea. The idea originated from Boeing and NASA. They want to showcase something the two companies have done. The X-66 Sustainable Flight Demonstration aircraft's groundbreaking cage-supported wings promised a 25% increase in fuel efficiency. It seemed like an insignificant design. Everyone was watching these companies. The whole world was eagerly waiting, and it could take 2 years to modify and completely rebuild the 737 aircraft. This company foresaw this and shelved the plan, fearing it could fail. However, this is a situation that no one is discussing. And this plan had happened several times before, years ago. This situation continues. Beautiful prototypes, ambitious programs, and then silence. While Airbus moves forward with the latest technology engines, Boeing has put the X-66 on hold. The 737 MAX 7 and MAX 10 models have not yet been certified. Another aircraft in this company suffered the same fate. Does Boeing have a deeper strategy, or is it simply not innovating? The answer reveals why the world's most successful passenger aircraft could be the biggest burden for its manufacturer. And here I want to explain why this aircraft needed to be changed. 2 years ago, everything may have entered a cycle. Boeing and NASA announced their collaboration on the X-66 Sustainable Flight Demonstration aircraft. A $1.15 billion commitment was made to revolutionize aviation. The transonic cage-supported wing concept promised something extraordinary. And the wings were made so thin that they were as light as a feather, with the aim of consuming less fuel. Imagine the Golden Gate Bridge in a passenger plane. The figures were exciting. A futuristic silhouette with dramatic emission cuts. Engineers were eagerly awaiting it. All companies were looking at what this aircraft could do with different eyes. Finally, a true successor to the 737. In California, they started work by preparing to remove the wings of a retired MD-90. And we will have to wait another 3 years to see this aircraft in the air. And everything came to light. Boeing suspended the program until early 2025. The X-66 design and other Boeing programs presented insurmountable challenges. It was only a concept for a future passenger aircraft, and even if it had succeeded in flying, there was no guarantee that airlines would purchase it. The real reasons ran deeper. The certification process had become excessively prolonged. Due to problems with the engine anti-icing system, this process has been delayed until 2026. The delays caused the 777X to lose money. Boeing's engineering resources were stretched too thin, or perhaps Boeing simply lost its cool. As the X-66 enters the graveyard of the aviation industry's well-intentioned aircraft, one question remains unanswered. And that is, why does this company shy away from all risks? But why? This is a much deeper model. The Boeing 737 is not just a successful aircraft. It is the greatest paradox in aviation. Over 10,000 aircraft have been delivered since 1968. It is the aircraft that created Ryanair and Southwest Airlines and revolutionized international travel. And we know that flying on this aircraft is more comfortable than even the most comfortable car. The 737 has been trapped by its own DNA. And this is a problem that engineers will not discuss in public. Each new generation has emerged as a result of engineering compromises, including flattened engine cells, reinforced landing gear, and software patches to overcome hardware limitations. The love for low seats from 40 or 50 years ago is now under pressure because they are closer to the engines, which is uncomfortable. However, airlines have not wanted to give up this feature. On paper, the economics were perfect, and this is exactly the kind of thing pilots love. Every bolt was known to the mechanics. Parts could be easily replaced. Contracts with Southwest Airlines required very little retraining for new variations. This was a provision that had influenced Boeing's design for years. However, contracts are unrelated to physics. Fuel consumption increased. Environmental regulations became stricter. Passengers demanded comfort. Airbus designed the A320 with extra space under the wings, which made engine upgrades easier. This company always gave its competitors an advantage. That's a bad thing. They had to go up and forward with bigger engines. Aerodynamic changes made MCAS software necessary. This software caused 2 fatal crashes that killed 346 people. This is very bad, but not everyone cares. The success of the Boeing 737 turned into its biggest disadvantage, and redoing everything carries risks that not everyone can take. And how long do you think it took to rebuild an airplane? And this airplane took exactly 9 years. But standing still can cost you everything. The real question isn't why the 737 needed to be changed. This company has asked everyone for time to look at other things. In the early 2000s, engineers at Boeing's think tanks were dreaming the impossible. Its code name was Yellowstone. Boeing's overall strategy to transform all its market sectors. And the company started producing lighter aircraft, such as the 787, because it wanted to be number one in fuel efficiency. But why one was a goal like reaching the moon? Forget about small-scale improvements. Why one promised to completely change the 737? They have begun taking steps to make this aircraft number one, with special new generation wings, new generation engines, and a new design. The leaked 2009 patent drawings depicted something straight out of science fiction. Aerodynamic features, elliptical bodies, and sculpted hoods that would make physics professors cry with joy. He told us that he would do it for all users, that he would keep us waiting a little, but that we would be happy in the end. Significant reductions in emissions, tremendous increases in efficiency, and a passenger experience that would overshadow the Airbus A320 family. Tests in wind tunnels confirm this. All companies seemed convinced when they heard the final word. Years of research and development were spent on components that had never before been assembled in narrow-body aircraft. Then the truth emerged. It was difficult to use these materials in small aircraft, and if used, they would render the aircraft impractical. A high-maintenance jet with an advanced fly-by-wire system. There were many concerns. Creating a supply chain from scratch was very expensive, and everything would be gone in an instant. Because it's coming. Oil prices rose. All companies feared this scourge and retreated immediately upon hearing the news. Then with the A320neo, Airbus brought the single-aisle aircraft market into a new generation. After just a few years of certification procedures, double-digit fuel savings were achieved almost immediately. This company was faced with a question that would haunt them for the rest of their lives. It was a question that would always follow them. Should they invest billions of dollars in a potentially revolutionary, yet unproven innovation that could revolutionize aviation? Or should they play it safe and update the 737? Everyone was very cautious about spending, and everyone was focused on saving money. Every decision Boeing made from that point on would be influenced by this tension. Airbus launched its game-changing design in December 2010. Equipped solely with new engines, the A320neo offered 15% higher fuel efficiency. Over 1,000 orders came in within less than a year. These companies failed to take significant steps. Confidence at Boeing headquarters gave way to quiet panic. For years, they had been developing the Yellowstone Y1 to replace the revolutionary 737. However, Airbus had proven that airlines were not interested in revolution. Their goal was to do something very different, but they failed to achieve it. Then came the big blow. The company's biggest customer showed up again, having purchased nearly 500 aircraft. However, there was a flip side to this coin. The airline placed an order for Boeing's anticipated 737NG upgrade. This served as a warning, even an ultimatum for Boeing. Everything in the company was happening amid conflict. Either rush the 737 MAX to market and abandon dreams of a clean slate, or stick with the nose at certain angles. They added MCAS software to push the nose down. A modern update to the 1960s style. Lion Air Flight JT610 crashed into the Java Sea in October 2018. Ethiopian Airlines flight ET302 was seen crashing into the ground while in flight 6 years ago. Nearly 400 people lost their lives in this plane crash. The MCAS software, which Boeing barely mentioned, was the definitive evidence discovered by investigators. The pilots were unaware of the existence of this system. A seemingly minor software glitch in this aircraft cost people their lives. The world's best-selling jet became grounded overnight. Runways worldwide filled with grounded Boeing 737 MAX aircraft. Within just a few months, Boeing's century-old reputation was destroyed. The cost in human lives was enormous. In this plane crash, the pilots were seen as the main culprits, followed by the engineers at the company, while the loved ones of those on board planned to sue the company. If Boeing had built a new plane instead of patching up the old one, would those 346 people still be alive today? Software and sensors weren't the only factors in the MAX crisis. Putting money first led to a very bad situation, and this aircraft would have been in a very bad state of trust. Despite all Boeing's efforts, some trust will never be fully regained, and every choice from now on will be overshadowed overshadowed by the ghost of a project that could have been a truly innovative aircraft. This company wanted to design a new aircraft like the X-66, but its competitor had already gained a significant lead. If they succeed, their weapons will be new engines that consume less fuel. Imagine jet engines resembling massive propellers. Everyone was still very surprised. While CFM International develops the CFM Rise, GE and Safran are collaborating. Rolls-Royce was set to become the leading engine manufacturer for these aircraft in the future. Airbus plans to install them in its narrow-body aircraft, which it will soon launch on the market. They are scheduled to enter service in the 2030s. The company that crashed initially serviced the aircraft, but for some reason always lagged behind. However, Boeing is still alive. Their pivots, thin wing technology, and incredibly thin wings that slice through the air like those of aircraft without complex structures like the X-66 are examples of their elegant efficiency. They are building test devices, solving flutter, improving materials, and learning to walk before running rather than building aircraft. Boeing is now focusing on developing specialized engines rather than wings, while its competitor is prioritizing wings to become the top player in that area. Whoever solves both first will win it all. Time is running out. Airbus has the resources, momentum, and advantage. The company can't do anything about it, but it's up to them to move forward on this path. What are we after? The winner won't just gain market share. They will determine the course of humanity's next 50 years of flight. Will open fans and thin wings create a revolution? Will Boeing reclaim the throne? Everyone has these questions in their minds. Or has this opportunity already slipped away? Delays cost billions of dollars every month. If they make a mistake, the consequences of that choice will be felt 10 years from now. Building better planes is not the only goal. Everyone involved must be willing to take risks. This goes beyond business competition. The real question is whether your grandchildren will be able to afford to travel. Aviation contributes 2% of global CO2 emission, more than some countries. Airlines promise to reach net zero emissions by 2050. But this is not a marketing ploy. It is a necessity for survival. Many Western governments are now imposing regulation. Carbon penalties will cost airlines billions of dollars. Sustainability is now a necessity. Who flies and who doesn't depends on the next breakthrough. Thanks to incredibly efficient jets, billions of people can afford to buy tickets. If you can't succeed at something, your money starts to talk. NASA knows this very well. The tests they conducted for thin wing are not scientific research. Their plan is to democratize flights on a global scale. Consider the implications of this. Cheaper flights connecting families across different continents. Their real goal is to make engines more powerful without disturbing people. However, if Boeing and Airbus fail and the new generation is just another compromise, flight routes will decrease and ticket prices will skyrocket. Closed communities connected by private jets will replace the global village. That's why every shelved project matters. A delay will alienate people, and you'll also spend a lot of money. Connecting people is expensive. Technology is not at the heart of the competition for the aircraft that will replace the 737. The goal is to keep the skies open for everyone. Will we use innovation for sustainable aviation? Costs are causing people to lose their dreams. The solution affects more than just aviation. It affects civilization as a whole. Everyone talking about these planes is discussing this company's new aircraft. Half maritime wisdom, half maritime tragedy. Radical design certification now takes decades, not years. Every new system undergoes years of testing. With every innovation comes increased scrutiny. There was no tolerance, but there was technology. Even if it flew, the X-66 received more criticism. You have to wait many years to get certification. However, others see Boeing's transition to thin wings as a brilliant idea. Ground testing is better than gambling billions of dollars before incorporating tested solutions into real aircraft. It secretly solves physical problems and perfects the technology without causing failure in the public eye. You have to learn from this failure. Technology is no longer the primary driver of innovation in aviation. The goal is to strike a balance between feasibility and profitability. The revolution is in your hands. The projects themselves weren't Boeing's real loss. The real loss was momentum. Airbus kept moving forward where they started and stopped. If thin wing technology doesn't deliver the miracle Boeing desperately needs, closing this gap may be impossible. The 737 was always at a standstill. Abandonment, postponement, and compromise. Boeing always chose the safe path, but tomorrow arrived. Yet moving forward had become difficult. It needs to be revolutionary. Will you live to see it? Imagine a jet that knows everything. Its engines are excellent and speak to you. Subscribe to us to see more content like this.